What is going on, family? How are you guys? It is so good to see you. I've been waiting all day to do stories with you. Um, I want to say a big shout out once again. I just posted it for you guys. I'm going to pull up the post for you right now. Uh, Monica has allowed this to happen, just so you all know. Okay? We have a giveaway going on. Come on now. Come on, camera. Giveaway right there. And if you guys go in here and enter and put Scar Christmas, you'll be entered to do the giveaway. Thank you, Monica, for sending these. So 2 of these are going to anybody in our community, and 2 of these are going to be just for our members. Okay? So these are available for you for Christmas. And that's because we have an amazing community. So that's where we'll start tonight before it gets heavy. I do have a lot of stories for you guys. And a lot of you, again, I always want to start this by saying how brave you all are. By just sharing your vulnerability, sharing something hard in your life. So thank you for that. And I mean that just thank you for sharing your story, because you never know who it's going to help. Starting already today, I am just going to read my first email that I opened and have not read all the way through. And I'm going to just get going. We're going to take some time with this one tonight. We've got our translucent, finally, chat up on the screen. So that's good. And I love that for you guys, because I love having our chat on the screen where I can read it as we go. So first of all, hope you guys are having a great day. And let's get to it. So, and by the way, just want to say, yeah, this always is an up and down thing. So tears can flow from me. That doesn't mean that I don't want to know your story or hear more about your story. So let's keep going. Hey guys, this is the email, by the way. Hey guys, it's Emmy. Okay, I said I'd write down one of my stories, so here it goes. This isn't my quote unquote life story, but rather than the story of how my dead 11-year-old uncle helped me heal trauma and that his death caused. I know, just bear with me. So the backstory: when my Nana, Italian grandma that I called Nana spelled out, is 8 months pregnant with my father, they came here from Sorbo San Bazel, Calabrata, Italia. Sorry, by the way, if I butcher this. They had 2 older girls, and you can say Carmen. My dad was born, and they lived life until the 5th of July when he was with when he was 3.5. His brother begged him to go swim to a swimming event, though he couldn't swim. My Nana had intuition and gave him chores to do, slapping my cousin for helping him finish them because she had a bad feeling about her husband and said he could go, and she had said she had no say, so she always knew. He went swimming and never came home, being found tangled in seaweed in the next day. Everyone's life was changed forever. I won't go into the trauma, but it was really bad. He had no parent, his father's falling into severe alcoholism, and it was there with their, and it was, I'm sorry. And as it was, they were in an arranged marriage. It wasn't good. It left scars on my father and impacted how he parented, which in turn brought marks to me. I grew up with Carmen being a shadow over everything. Every time I was near water, my parents were extra careful, to a degree that they wished they didn't go now. I knew from a very, very young age, children could die, and at the top of that list, a lot of people very young. 11 was an age I feared to reach. I truly didn't think I'd make it past. I remember feeling so long, so far away. Zoom into the year of the 50th anniversary. My brother has a wedding at the very pond where he almost drowned. It's a club-like space, and since that day, almost none of my family had gone there, and we were sick of being afraid of that location. So on the anniversary, he went and I went. We got there and sat down, overtaken by the sheer beauty, and I couldn't help but exhale the word, wow. It was stunning. A beautiful pond with the only giant rock to jump off so prominent. First, let me tell a quick ghost story of the past. When my dad was ironically drinking at the party on that very road I live on now, someone mentioned the ghost of the X pond, X where he drowns. My dad's friend also knew the story, so he watched to see what my dad would do. He asked the guy to tell the story, and he did. There was a little boy who jumps into the water off of the big rock with maroon shorts and a white shirt. He jumps in but never makes a splash and never comes up. That is what he was wearing. And after an exorcism my Nana had there, I truly believe that he was set free, but only chose from then on to stay. Back a few years ago, suddenly my brother and I were overtaken by grief in this beautiful place. What if he didn't know, didn't see? Surely he must have put this depth of grief, so we both started crying. My brother isn't an emotional guy, and he started crying. I out loud started sharing everything. From after he died, to the bad, to the good, the cousins, the pain, realizing I was telling an 11-year-old probably the worst things you could, feeling the weight of how that must feel. I wanted to scream, wanted to just hit the fabric of reality and time, splitting it like a taco for taking such a pure soul. The person my dad ran to when he got hurt away from this world. I felt his grief, I felt his pain. I looked at my brother and asked if he felt the connection, and he did. Carmen was sad, so apologetic, and in the I'm so sorry that this is how it went kind of way. Like a protective uncle, I always craved to know when was denied stories other than he was too good for this world. We lamented around aloud with him and really just let it out. And suddenly, as fast as the mountain bending grief had come on, it was replaced with laughter, pure laughter. My brother and I looked at each other feeling the same message. I'm so sorry for all that had happened, but I existed. I lived. I lived for 11 wonderful years. Please don't let that be forgotten. I kid you not, the wind started to swirl near the rock, and my brother pointed it out. The water danced, and through it we watched it make it the right angle, and I really am not kidding. It swirled around us like a wind spirit in Frozen. We are both going not to believe this unless I say this right now. Remember me saying we won't believe this, but we need to right now, to my brother. And honestly, it's the reason I can type this out. Only reason that I took the rest seriously. We stayed, and I felt like it was time. He was happy. He cried, then he laughed. He was so happy to meet us, and we didn't see him, but we felt him, and we felt this change. We couldn't say a word to those we wanted to tell, not a word. It was just too painful, this literal secret visit. But he was persistent. I have a lot of stories of him coming to me, and one of them I will give another time, which involves his funeral cards appearing on a dresser from the impossible place to send me a message. He came to me so many times, and I wanted to share this so badly with my dad. The one he really worried about the most, and who he helped see me as not my traumatizer, but as his scared little baby brother. We were camping 2 months later, and I recorded it myself looking at the fire. I asked for a sign and my dad that he was there. I didn't know how to tell him the message, but please send me a sign. I took pictures, and about 5 minutes later, my dad looks at the fire and says, "Who put that cross there?" And I said, "What cross?" And just 3 of us left. This dude, Jeff, I've known my whole life, Dad and I. That cross, M, right there. He showed me the cross. The video didn't say, but it included the cross that no one put there. I don't know, it wasn't me. He insisted it wasn't there a moment ago. That's why I admitted I did just as someone give you the sign. Who? Carmen. Who's Carmen? Asked poor Jeff, who has no idea. What do you mean you asked Carmen? I filled him in on our visit and telling Jeff it was his older brother and giving him the minimum. He wants us to stop being so held down by the pain. He died. It's sad. It's happening, but we forget he existed. I went on a long speech. I just remember the spots of my eyes fixated on the campground, and I've gone to almost every year of my life. I remember after my word vomit, he was really quiet, not sure how to respond. He said, staring at the fire, at the cross before dismissing himself to bed. I won't go into any further for my aunt's privacy, but just each had their own experiences of different opinions of him. He ended on another experience of a weird orb in the woods one night, and I think this is where it really cemented. He was being changed, man. He was being a changed man, one who has learned to face his emotions, and it's really beautiful to see. But one day I had to tell my Nana. No one wanted to, but I had to tell her, and I did. Like I thought, she didn't get upset but thanked me, especially when I rested her fears by telling her he is waiting for you. He's not there because he's stuck, he's waiting for you. I didn't know how, but I knew that these were his exact words. I had so many instances where they were just intense, but I just knew. She ended up losing a beloved necklace, and it was found somewhere that it couldn't have been. She proudly proclaimed, then asked him the day before to help, in very broken English, "You help Emmy. You help my son, now you help me." She told anyone who would listen that he had helped her. Through my time with my uncle, I felt like I've got to know him. I really got to meet him, celebrate his birthday now, talk to my Nana, and force the conversations. I grew up with my Nana, who asked me daily if she wishes she could die to take her son's place. That stopped when she found her necklace. Even from beyond the grave, Carmen has proven time and time again that it was the pure angel he was. I have stories of my own, so many stories of brilliant boy making sure that people know he is still watching over them. I mean, it's the most incredible time. My dad was dragged out of a burning truck along with his friends, and I have no idea how. Every time I have visited the pond, I wow at those with me and the amount of jumping fish and the wildlife in general that will show up. I don't see it as a place where he died, but the place that I can still go to be near him. One day, I will lose him and my Nana, but that's okay. That is how it's supposed to be. I will see them again one day. And after this, how can I not believe that? Thank you for giving me the space to share about an incredible person. I have so many stories about my angel uncle that have changed me since I've opened up to him. If anyone wants to hear more, let me know. I have other stories of my life. But I think instead of focusing on the bad personally, when I have moments like this, it is important to show why it was the way that it was. And the lengths of my older brother went to not only to continue to protect his little brother, but the children harmed by his death as well. Love is an incredibly powerful and humbling force. And I'm going to stop now. Love you, Scar Warriors. And then Emmy sent this picture of the cross. You guys can't see it. She said that was in the story right there. That's crazy. Yeah, the thing is, like, it's always amazing when you have like these moments, because it's always, I think, the biggest question in the world is like, what happens after all of this, right? And I think that it's beautiful when you just have a comfort and you have that feeling that you know that they're okay. Like, that's just such a big deal. I don't think that's very, very, it's very underrated. And secondly, thank you, Emmy, for sharing your story. And I really appreciate that. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. Okay, so I have a email here that is from Anonymous. This is a follow-up to one of the emails that we've actually read. So we're going to keep going. Thank you, Emmy, for being vulnerable and sharing. And we are going to keep going. And let me know if you guys are good, okay? I'll pop my head up a little bit more. I just try to make sure I don't mess up your guys' stories. Okay, so it says, "Hello, I found your YouTube page through one of your followers. I am 35 and the daughter of one of the stories that you have read on live. To recap, my mother was the follower who had the I'm sorry, I can't say it. I'm going to butcher it. With multiple miscarriages. She has been an inspiration to me my entire life and has shown me just how wonderful God can be. To follow up on her story, the devil has been attacking me in my entire life. As she explained, she had the German measles when she was pregnant with me at 16 years old. The only thing that I suffered from was that cleft lip that I had surgery on when I was 2 months old. I had another surgery when I was 16 to further help the look of my lip. Growing up, my mom was a single mother most of my life. I was a clumsy child and would often find myself getting hurt somehow. I've sprained my ankles more times than I can count, and many concussions starting at a young age. With every pain I had came with some kind of pain medication I had to take. When I was 16, I had my second surgery to fix my cleft lip and reconstruct my nose due to the left side of my sinuses being completely closed off. After the surgery, my doctor prescribed me a strong pain medication and muscle relaxers. I found myself getting addicted to them as they would numb the pain physically and mentally. When I was in school, I would often get teased on my looks, and with that, bullying caused depression to sink in. After the surgery, the pain medication helped me to numb some of those mental pains. My mom had realized that I was getting addicted to them, and being a good mom, she stopped the medications from being refilled. I was angry that they were taken away. That summer, I had decided that I wanted to try to live with my biological dad, and that I had been in and out of my life growing up. It was the summer that I discovered that alcohol could numb my pain again. Fast forward to when I was 19, things had happened, and I moved in with my aunt and my grandmother. I quickly became out of control and became mixed up with the wrong crowd. I started to party and doing laced marijuana and drinking. If it wasn't laced, I didn't want it. At the same time, I started a relationship with a guy. I had no business being with him. While I was in the relationship, I thought that I had found my forever person, except he wasn't that person I dreamed about. After some time, he became abusive in more than one way. Between partying, drinking, and doing drugs, and a deeper depression that I'd ever felt crept in its ugly head back into my life. I had lost most of my family due to my reckless lifestyle and my ex blocking me from everyone. I felt that I didn't have anyone. One night, I had made a plan to overdose on sleeping pills with my ex in the bed next to me. As I was about to take a handful of pills, there was a knock on my bedroom door. It was my ex's mother. She said that I had a visitor at the front door. It was my grandmother. I know that God sent her my way because I didn't have a phone and I had not talked to anyone in my family for months. When I came to the door, the only thing she said to me was that she was going to take me away from this place and that I was never coming back. When this happened, I was skin and bones and highly malnourished. I stopped caring about what happened to me. I decided at that time that the devil was right and I had no will to keep going. I spent the next 2 weeks in the hospital, gaining strength back, as well as seeing a psychiatrist for my mental instability. The next few years were hard. I had to get back to replace the positivity, sobriety, and back to learning to who I was. I had reconnected with my family, and most importantly, with the woman who had raised me. It was so good to hear her voice after all that time. I went and spent 30 days with her, my stepdad and siblings. And with their guidance, I rediscovered who the Lord was and relearning his love and forgiveness. A short time after that, I reconnected with my now husband of 15 years. We were friends within a few months, and we were together, engaged, and married. In the first year of marriage, my health problems began. I had gone through a period of time where I could not hold down any food that had any flavor to it. It hurt my stomach to even try to eat it. I told my husband that I needed to go to the hospital because I couldn't hold anything down. After arriving in the hospital, the doctor had told me that I had gallstones that were causing the pain. I went through months of doctors telling me that this and telling me that there was nothing that they could do about it because my levels were not dangerous enough to remove my gallbladder. Finally, I'd woken up with extreme pain and feeling like death was at my door. My husband rushed me to the hospital, and finally the doctors decided to remove the gallbladder. After surgery, I spent the next few months trying to figure out what foods I could and couldn't eat. Unfortunately, at this time, my foot of my colon had died inside, causing a blockage. Once again, my husband rushed me to the hospital where I was examined and rushed into emergency surgery. The doctor came out of surgery and explained to my husband and family that the foot of my colon had died and that he had to remove it. And after removing it, I had to have a colonoscopy bag to help with the healing process. The surgery had ended up being a 3-day surgery where I was in the ICU during that time. My husband and family were so scared that I was going to die. Thankfully, the Lord decided that my time on earth was not up. This is a huge change in my life. This was a new huge change in my life, and it was a struggle to get through. I recently found out that the colostomy bag is a permanent and I will never be reversed. The surgery also revealed that I have Hirschsprung's disease, basically where the nerves of my colon had lost all function and died. I was sure that this surgery and my marriage was over. Thankfully, the Lord pulled us through this, as well as my husband has been so loving and supportive through it all. In the last few months, I have been diagnosed with diabetes and have to change a lot. I struggle with depression and anxiety every day with all of my health issues. Even with all these things going wrong, I am thankful to know Jesus is still on my side and is healing me every day. I have learned to count my blessings even when the devil tries to tell me that I don't deserve them. If there is anyone out there that is struggling to believe that God is on your side, just know that he will always be there for you, especially when the devil tells you otherwise. He has always been that one steady thing in my life that I cannot ever repay his love. Sincerely, Anonymous. Whew. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is nuts. That is nuts. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for staying strong. I don't think people realize how hard that it would be. You're fighting a completely different fight and you're staying positive. And I'm very grateful for your email. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for what you're doing for other people. Because people, we all have we can all easily slip into depression over our circumstances. All we have is our outlook. That's it. That's all we have is that outlook. So being positive in our horrible situations is literally the only thing that we have, you know? So thank you. Thank you very much. All right, I got another one for you. Sorry, my lip ripped up today. You guys doing good? It's good to see you. I want to make sure I can read your guys' chats for a second. First of all, also I want to say how vulnerable you are to share the personal struggles that you went through, like the coping mechanisms. It's very hard to share that because it just is. It's hard to like explain when you're going through a lot that all you want to do is escape that. And so it's really hard to share those coping mechanisms. So thank you for sharing that. All right, we got another one. I told you guys we're going to get through a good amount tonight. You guys did, by the way. You guys did send me lip balm. This is from you guys. Okay? I already went through the whole stick I had. Now I got this. It's just the stupid medicine I'm taking is still destroying my body, but that is what it is. Okay. So this one is from... I want to make sure it doesn't say anything. Yes, it's from Annie. Annie Reese. So, first off, I should probably share my actual name. My name is Annie. I am 43 years old and I live in Utah. I have lived there my whole life. I have 5 kids, Mitch, Brock, Cole, Sophie, and Kaysen. Mitch is 23, Brock is 22, Cole is 18, Sophie's 14, and Kaysen is 12. I am the oldest and only daughter of my parents' 2 children. I have a younger brother, and I have been divorced 5 times. Twice was to the same man, and I am currently in my 6th marriage. My story begins when I was younger, but I will try to keep it short and to the point. My father and mother were alcoholics. My brother and I grew up going to parties and watching what alcoholics can become. I grew up knowing my dad had a couple affairs on my mother. The first affair, he neglected me and my mom when I was a baby to take care of his mistress. Although he had these affairs, my mother never left him. My dad passed away in my childhood home a couple of years ago. I was the one who pronounced him dead and handled the notifications because my mother was unable to emotionally. I've lived with my parents through my first 4 marriages because my spouses were lazy, amongst other things. I was SA'd when I was 13 and was told not to tell anyone by my mother. Her request was to go to our bishop, LDS, and let him know what had happened. I did, and I was turned away from the church. He told me that I had asked for it by the clothes I had been wearing. This is when I began drinking, taking pills, and having sex. I wanted to have control over something, and these were my answers. I became pregnant at 18 and had my first son at 19. 4 months after having my son, my only sibling, my brother Robert, was killed by a drunk driver in a rollover up on the canyon. We had been back on a school party, and I wanted to stay, but Robert told me to go since I had a new baby at home. I left, and 2 hours later, we got the phone call. Robert's girlfriend wanted to go home, and her brother offered to drive her. Robert was worried because her brother was highly intoxicated. It ultimately cost him his life. He was particularly ejected from the truck that rolled down 89 feet down a steep hill. The driver did 6 months in jail because it was his first offense as an adult. Myself and my dad were blamed for providing alcohol, even though my dad never did. We live in a small town, and I think my dad carried a lot of guilt over this. At the time, I became closer to my dad. My mom and I had issues when I was growing up, including her kicking me out multiple times and many physical altercations. Anyways, I was married to my first husband, and the marriage lasted 10 years. I finally ended it when I caught him having an affair when I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter. He moved out and moved in with his mistress. He was verbally and financially abusive. I met my youngest son's dad. He had PTSD from being a Marine and serving in the war. That relationship ended before the birth of our son. He eventually got help, and we have a good relationship now. Met my second husband, and he was physically and SA abusive. I guess SA is that, sorry. Got married to my third and fourth. His ex-wife made things difficult. I had me thrown in jail at one point. She created a fake Facebook account of me and sent herself threatening messages. I was eventually cleared of these charges, but that ended my marriage for the final time. My fifth marriage was to my high school sweetheart. He had a bad drug problem, and after 3 years, he ended up beating me, my dog, and went after my little boy. I moved back home with my mom. Last year, I met a guy on TikTok. After talking and stuff, I agreed to meet with him. He had lived in Vegas. I went to see him. He SA'd me for 6 hours until I was finally able to get my daughter to call me to give me a chance to leave. A few months before this happened, I had met my current husband. We were not married then. I found messages and pictures on his phone from other women. We had a fight and broke up. And after my SA, I found out he wanted to work things out. We got married in June and moved in with me in September, and I caught him talking to his ex-girlfriend, and there was a big fight. I had a good job as administrator of the local rehab and assisted living facility. But due to the hours of stress of my marriage, I ended up quitting due to the heart issues. I was diagnosed with stage 3 hypertension. I'm still not working. I'm also used to being a cutter and have attempted to unalive myself 3 times. I ended up losing my custody of my older children due to that. I checked myself into a mental facility as well, trying to get help. I was diagnosed with suicidal ideation, but after everything was in order, I have to leave a lot of stuff out, but I wanted to give you an idea on my background. My marriage now is hard. I have big trust issues. We argue a lot over the past, and with me being bipolar, although I am in treatment for it. I am so thankful to have found your community. You guys keep me on the ground and provide me positive support and encouragement, and I feel like I can be open and honest and safe. Thank you for allowing me to share my story and for being my friend. I love you genuinely, and thank you for letting me be a part of such an amazing family. P.S. You make such a profound impact for being so young. Never stop moving mountains. You have a village behind you. This is why we do this. Right here. All of you guys. This is it. Thank you for sharing that. That is so hard to That's a lot. But you're also stronger now. And you deserve to have a great life. And thank you for being a part of our community. And we're here to support you. We're here to support you. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. Okay, I got one more for you guys. I always try to make sure that there is no specific no's. Oh, Susan's here. Good to have you here, Susan. All right, guys, here's our next one. Dear Colby, hi, I wanted to share my story for Saturday's episode. However, I went a slightly different direction. We are survivors of one of the most hardest things we have to do is move on from the people who hurt us. It is hard when it's family and harder when it's your parents. I asked my mother to not contact me in the past years, so she sent me a birthday, which I didn't read, and a letter. The letter was a bunch of gaslighting and kind of creepy. So I wrote the letter in response, and I thought it would be a good idea to share it with others. It might help someone who's struggling to put into words what they are trying to say to those who hurt you. Please forgive the spelling and the grammar errors. I have nails, and it is a struggle. The struggle is real when you try to type and autocorrect doesn't seem to help you at all. Little backstory, my biological father died when I was young, like 6 years old. My mom had gotten remarried to my stepfather, who abused me through my entire childhood. The abuse slowly escalated when it started to turn sexual, and then I jump shipped. Okay, it's going to be powerful. This is her letter to her mom. Here we go. Dear Mother, time heals all wounds. At least that's what they say, but we know that that's not true. Time doesn't heal, it just dulls the pain and makes each day a bit more bearable than the last. As an adult, I get it. You were young, 19 years old, and your future was bright. You left the house, tried finding your own way in life. You went to school, and it's sad to this day I still don't know what you were studying and wanting to be. You met my father and got married and had me. Life got hard. You dropped out of school and started working full time. You started feeling suffocated. This wasn't the life you wanted. You wanted out, and an opportunity to join the military came. When the opportunity to join the military came, you jumped for it. You left for boot camp and got a taste of freedom. You had no responsibilities and the burden was lifted. Then you met the one. You told me you knew the second you saw him and that you felt it deep in your bones. The one is also the first one to hit me. He slapped me hard enough that I fell into the floor. I was shocked, in pain, confused, and sad. When I looked at you, the person who should have comforted me and stood up for me, you looked down at me with contempt and hate. You hated me, and you really hated yourself and took it out on me. You used to tell me that you wished you would have waited to have me. When I said, but then I wouldn't have been here to respond to you, and you shrugged your shoulders. Looking back with adult eyes, it's obvious you didn't want me. I asked you once why you let the one abuse me, and you told me because of my father. You said my father abused you. So in that way, you were punishing me for something I didn't do. If my father abused you, then I'm sorry. You shouldn't have had to go through that. However, that means that you knew better. It means that you knew what it felt like. You know how painful it is and how much it hurts to have someone you love hurt you. You knew the consequences of those actions and still chose to do it. I looked into your claims and asked old friends, family, and even my dad's family. I learned how manipulative you really are. There's no evidence to support your claim. In fact, people thought I was crazy when I started asking people questions about my father abusing you. People who you said knew and defended you against my father had no idea what you were talking about. I learned that my uncle caught you cheating on my father with the one and called you out at a public bar, but you ignored him when my father died. My aunt came to help you pack the apartment. You ignored her and wouldn't help. You wouldn't let me grieve for my father and wouldn't let me talk about it. Like I said earlier, I get it. You were young, dumb, and never matured past that. It takes a lot to grow and it hurts. God knows it hurts, but we still do it. Every day I get a little bit older, a little wiser, and can look back with adult eyes and get it. It's hard being young with a family. Trust me, I know. I forgive you for your mistakes you've made. However, just because I forgive you, that doesn't mean anything beyond that. We are strangers now, and I don't know you. I truly don't. I don't know what your favorite color is, what food you like, what foods you hate, the things you like to do for fun. I still don't know how you met my dad. The funny part is someone could ask you the same questions about me and you could get every one of them wrong because you'd rather be wrong than be ashamed of being a bad mom. I used to cry a lot in the past thinking about you not being in my life, but that turned into grief. When I realized I was mourning the image of my mother I wanted to project on you. I truly was an orphan growing up. I won't be there at your deathbed, maybe a little out of spite. You're a stranger to me. However, I truly wish you are able to find a way to be at peace with the decisions you've made. Wow. You got to give me a minute to process that. That's very vulnerable. Thank you for sharing that, number one. Also, I think that it's very important to, I'm glad you pointed out, I think you articulated yourself really well. And I think what you said was a lot of people, maybe in the chat or maybe on our channel or whatever the case is, have had a parent in their life, but they're not really present and they don't take care of you. And you know, we talked about that before. I learned a lot of the lessons that you learned. And that's why I'm really grateful that you sent that, because I know that was hard. I know that was hard to share publicly. To be able to articulate how you feel about your parent, how you knew you never had a parent, and accept that. And then on top of it, you also realize, hey, I don't even know you. It's a hard reality. And you know, some people, and this is why we talk about it a lot, some people truly just are so self-involved. The parents are so worried about themselves and they never worked on their problems. And if they would have just taken the time to figure out their feelings, right? Like some of the stuff we talk about, like core base problems, a lot of these things could possibly be avoided, right? That's my own take on it. So thank you for sharing that. I learned a lot from what you wrote, and I think that there is a freedom in words and writing words. And I think that that's what's so powerful about when you guys send emails, is the power of the written side of it. I feel like writing is very different than it is to speak. And yeah, I don't know. It's just powerful. It's very powerful. We are just a group of people that I am always impressed with. I know that a lot of people probably get, I don't want to use the word uncomfortable with these lives, but it's a hard live to watch because it's so vulnerable, but it's so needed. And so I hope we can continue to invite people to feel safe enough to just participate. You know, this is for our whole community, and I hope that they start to feel a little bit more at home when it comes to this side. But because it is so raw and it just gets so real, it's hard, and I get that. I want to thank every single one of the people in our community who wrote their letter and wrote part of their story to share here publicly. You guys are unbelievable. I'm so proud of you, and your vulnerability is helping others. So just know that. That's all you're helping people by sharing your story. You guys all belong here in this community. That is why we are here. There's nobody better than another. And yeah, Alyssa said, if your story even helps one person, it's a blessing. Exactly. That's it. If it touches one person that needed it, it's worth it. That's worth it. So thank you guys. Also want to say thank you, mods. You guys are amazing. Every time you guys come through, I really appreciate all of you guys. I can never say enough about you guys. You know I love you. And our community is a place where you should feel safe. So if you guys are considering writing your letters, you can send it to askcolbyj@gmail.com. And it's totally up to you. This is a personal thing. If you want to hear me read it and you know that it could help other people, it's there for you. There's no timeline. We're going to be doing these once a month where we'll read about 5 to 10 stories, depending on how long it takes, and making sure I don't want to ever just bust through your guys' stories. So that's the main thing here. We're not trying to brush over. All of your guys', I don't know if you know this, obviously, how would you know this? Your guys' stories stick with me. Like, I think about and process the videos, and I process what we've done and how others are going to listen to it later. And I just think about the fact that you are participating in something really, really powerful. And I don't know if you guys feel it, but I feel it. I feel it for real. And I just want to say thank you again, because it's a big deal. And it's a big deal for you guys to allow us to see into your life and learn lessons that you've learned, because you had to crawl on glass to learn that. And we're just getting it in a very palatable way. And so I don't ever want to take away from how much you had to go through to get the lesson that you got. So I just want to always be at the forefront for anybody who, as you guys know, learning a lot of times the most, we always talk about different ways, but the most refined, swords have been through fire and pounding and, everything, right? Or diamonds. Like, the process of something beautiful always has a very harsh process it goes through first. So it's not just a pick it up and it's a finished product. And the reason I say that is because that's what these stories are. We're getting insight on people who lived through horrible things, went through horrendous heartbreak, and have continued to choose to fight and teach us something from the hell they went through. So it's a big deal, and I really appreciate you. I love you guys. I'm going to see you on Monday, and I'm excited. This week we got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to cover. Super, super grateful for you guys. I have 2 more announcements for you guys real quick. Don't forget the giveaway. It's on the community post, so go look on that, and you guys have an opportunity to get these before Christmas. So I really want that to happen, so you guys have a little something extra for Christmas, even if it's just whatever, just have a little boost for Christmas. And then we have the Black Friday sale is happening for the merch right now over on our merch store. So that is 30% off for you guys. If you were ever wanting merch, you can go look at it. I've been putting a bunch of new stuff up I think is representative of our community and something that I'm proud to actually be a part of it, because I feel like I can feel our community's spirit in it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that's going to go down. That's going to be up until tomorrow at 12. So if you were looking to get merch, it's over there. And then lastly, I just want to say, man, I love you guys. We need to, I just want to give you all a big hug, because I'm grateful for what we have here. For real. So yeah, you guys are awesome, man. Seriously. I don't know how else to say it. We'll be doing a hangout this week, so I'll keep you guys up to date on the community tab so you know what's going on. I love you, and I'll see you guys very soon.